Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing fantastic. We are continuing our reading of this radical feminist book. It has helped us to see what their perspective is, and also, inshallah, will help us Muslims to create curated dawah that can combat such ideas, okay? And I don't see too many Muslim women online systematically going through the philosophy of these radical femmes. So why not me do it? I got the brain for it, so let's begin. By the way, I keep using my lint roller, but it's like, I still got lint on there. I don't know what to do. It's just this particular hijab, the dryer maybe doesn't suck out the lint as good anymore. Okay, let's begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's prepare for battle. There are, of course, many other reasons for not leaping into this bed with a stranger. When it comes to casual hookups, women report much lower levels of satisfaction than men. Okay, look at that. So, casual hookups, women are reporting lower levels of satisfaction. Yeah, it's almost like there's a difference between men and women, right? And much more perceived risk. Perceived risk, she says. No, there is a risk. You can get a psycho who will Jeffrey Dahmer you. Perhaps one of the reasons women are less likely to accept an offer for intimacy from a strange man is not that they're frightened of intimacy, but that they're frightened of strange men, and perhaps they have reasons to believe that casual intimacy won't be any good. It's not that they don't think, oh, he's not going to be good in bed. You should think about when you see that man. He's going to hurt you. He's crazy. Okay? He has a disease. He has a wife who will harm you if you engage in that activity. You could get pregnant, which means an innocent child will have to die or not have a father because you couldn't keep your legs closed. There's a lot going on there. I've never seen a woman, I've never heard someone say, I don't want to hook up with that random guy because he might not be good in bed. By contrast, studies that have measured both levels of arousal and theoretical willingness to have a one-night stand in conditions of complete safety have found very little difference between the sex drives of male and female human beings. Okay, one-night stands, complete conditions of complete safety. Break down the words she's using here. Now, she admitted she walks, talks, and acts like a hypersexual woman, okay? She gives it up within 4 days, right? And I'm going to use a very modern type of phraseology here. But by what she herself has admitted is that she's ran through. Okay. And she enjoys the fact that she's not like the nice girls, like the good girls. Okay. So here, she is trying to suggest that, oh, well, you get aroused, so you should be willing to do a one-night stand if it's totally safe. One-night stands are not ever safe. When you share your body with somebody, they're in your head forever. And they'll pop in your head at a random moment, okay? And you sleeping with that individual, doesn't mean they don't have somebody, okay? Or that their new girlfriend won't get jealous of you and key your car and go berserk. Or that one day you may go for a job and he's there and he's like, ew, you're just a one-night stand. I don't want to give you this job because I don't want to see your face every day. There's all these really interesting instances where that could come back to bite you. Okay? Or you make friends with a woman and then later on you discover the dude you slept with is her husband. Meanwhile, she's doing all these kind deeds for you, and you feel immensely guilty for being the mistress. right? I bet you there are so many instances throughout history where a disgusting woman who slept with a married man, the man is terrible as well, but where she feels guilty later on for what she did, especially when her man does the same to her. It's just the way it works. It's never completely safe. She means as in he's not gonna choke you, or, John Wayne Gacy you or something. This is the truth with a circle of light at its center, the kind you gather around on dark nights to share stories that don't make sense in the daylight. When it comes to the simple pleasure principle, so you gotta bracket these phrases: theoretical willingness, conditions of complete safety, simple pleasure principle. To effing for its own sake, sex and gender do not dictate appetite. Some people are just hornier than others, regardless of the sex they were assigned at birth. See how she degrades women? Sex they were assigned at birth. So she is full woke-tardian here. She thinks she's an advocate for women, while saying that being a woman isn't biology. This is what's so astounding. So she's really going into the men's in dresses are the same as pure biological women. Okay, she is contending that you don't know someone's gender by their genitalias. So she is fully going away from religion. She hates Christians, clearly. Hates white people, as she showed. And I would argue, how many blacks in Africa? Okay. Blacks in France. If you polled them outside of America, right? That you can just be like, a woman has a penis. How many of them would believe that? Especially if you went to the tribes. The pagans. What would they say? You're not assigned a gender at birth. You are that gender forever. A woman is a biological female. A man who is a biological male can never be a woman in any respect. She is not a friend to women. She wants our spaces, our sports, our locker rooms, our identity, our spiritual gift, everything about our feminine nature to be destroyed. So she wants to destroy Christianity, and by extension Islam. She's too afraid to mention Muslims here. But everything she hates about Christians is the exact same thing she'd hate about a Muslim, okay? So she wants to destroy religion, disturb the nuclear family. She admitted that in her books. Go back to the past episodes. And she's advocating for women to walk, talk, and act like promiscuous women, okay? She's advocating for one-night stands. And now she's advocating that basically, if you extract her idea, that cosmetic surgery, becoming a eunuch, or a woman who removes her breasts, which are used to feed her adorable child, that makes you the other gender. It reduces the essence of who we are, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. She denies that reality. She's not a friend to women. This is when you gotta pay attention to how they talk. Where is she coaxing people to? Right? Look at where she's trying to lead you to. She wants you to see heterosexual men as the enemy. Heterosexual religious men as the enemy. And then wants you to see that a man in a dress is the safe one who you should be around. As a heterosexual woman. But the sex you were assigned at birth does influence how likely you are to own your appetites, and how free you are to act on them. For women, sex comes loaded with all sorts of risks and reasons to avoid it, weighed down by warnings about social punishments, shame, violence, as well as pregnancy. Men, there's risks for men as well. The same risks for men are for women as well. I love now watching true crime because it breaks the feminist myth that women cannot be evil, that women cannot be dangerous, that women cannot hurt men. Because the videos show they hurt their own children, they hurt animals, they hurt elderly, they have no sense of sisterhood, they'll harm women. I mean, countless stories about psychopathic women. It's fascinating. So, men, when they break up with a chick, she can go absurd. I remember one true crime on Explore With Us. You can probably find it. I forgot the title of the particular case. A woman found out her husband was going to leave her, so she attempted to burn down the house with the kids inside and with the family pets inside. She sent thousands of fake emails as a pretend stalker to the husband and tried to become a victim. And she killed the woman that her man was going to go with. Long story short. So their episodes are like an hour long. They give you like the cops are interviewing them, like the interrogation footage. You get to see it all. But this woman was so insane and so violent and deadly that she almost burned down the house with her children in it. Now, there's a story of Medea, yeah, where she hurts one of her own kids to get back at her husband and getting a new wife. The Greeks even had myths of this. Time and time again throughout myths, folklore, common day knowledge, you will see that women have the capacity to do immense evil. So the social punishment for men can come from having a crazy woman who's like a shadow that hovers around you and is this monster that can just drag you through court and gleefully abort your children. Like, the wickedness of women is so underreported by feminists that you can then see that they are female supremacists and they're not really about equality and justice, but they're about minimizing the faults of women while really harping in with myopic focus on every single thing a man does that is bad, and then extrapolating that and expanding it to be this large blanket on the gender of men. So men have, when they sleep with a woman, they got 3 options. Okay, I heard this said by Owen Benjamin. You're gonna abandon the child will be aborted, killed, or they're gonna raise the child. Those are the only 3 options: life, death, abandonment. Okay, that's a risk for men as well. Shame, obviously, there's gonna be shame for certain men for behaving in certain ways. That's why in Islam, adulterers and fornicators are not praised. But again, she hates Christians, but she doesn't dare say she hates Muslims. Because she's a coward, and she's a charlatan, she's a sophist, she's a cultic. Previous generations, including generations of women, policed sexual morality, not because they did not have desires, but because they were made to pay such a heavy price for men's desires before they even thought about having their own. Okay, so pay a heavy price. Heavy price? Policed generations of women, policed sexual morality. Yes. I'm now becoming in favor of this. Women have to hold other women accountable. And it's not about, oh, don't judge me, let me do what I want, tolerate everything, what do you care? You're spreading disease, you're spreading abortion, you're denying children good fathers, you're ruining society, you are wicked. And we have to get rid of wickedness in our midst. Okay? A woman selling her infected clam on the street corner in a thong while it's cold outside and a pimp traffics her, I don't see that as great. Honey, you can go sell newspapers. You need to get a skill. You can be a telemarketer. You can work at Wendy's. You can bag groceries at the local market. Find an honorable way to be. Sexual immorality is a threat to good women and families and the whole of society. Just because rich men be having women on yachts does not make it right. All levels of prostitution are wrong. All. Okay? All. The heavy price is for both men and women. The price should be higher for men as well than it is today. Women are going to pay a huge social price. But if we had an Islamic society where adulterers could be punished publicly, that would change the immorality. We need families to be together, marriage counseling, helping couples to find the right one, stabilizing the father unit in the home. We have to go back to that system. Not atomized, one's watching porn, one's using a vibrator, kids are on tablets, zonked out of their mind watching TikTok, the mom's on pills and wine, the dad is just subscribing to, OnlyFans and giving his money that should go to his family to e-thoughts online. That's not a powerful society. Men becoming degenerates makes them easier to blackmail. Okay? Men will be put in traps by women for sabotage. Martin Luther King Jr., I think it's open knowledge now that he cheated on his wife. The CIA had that knowledge. Okay? That damaged his reputation because he was a Christian preacher, I believe. Right? So here this man is lecturing everyone about racism, but he can't control his sexual urges. When men cannot control their sexual urges, they're less than. By default. That is why Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, is superior, because he resisted a woman who had beauty and power. Again, I always mention this. Read the Epic of Gilgamesh, how Ishtar was, how it behaved. When a man tells an Ishtar no, that is power. But so many forget. Before the advent of modern medical technology, between 1 and 2% of pregnancies ended in a woman's death. So here, what she's going to try to do, I can already tell. Birth control and abortion is good because women died. That's very sneaky. Very sneaky. The way I look at it is, when you get intimacy, is this man worth dying for? Is the child worth dying for? If your answer is no, then you shouldn't be having intimacy. Think about the power of such a question. The man you're about to sleep with, is he going to be with you postpartum? Is he going to care about you during pregnancy? Is he going to make sure you get proper nutrition, that you're safe, protected, and provided for? Or is he a bum loser? What if he's evil? Why does he deserve access to your body? Why are you cursing a child with a father like that? Why are you so on your knees to the demons of lust that you don't have the decency, honor, and virtue, and the class, and the discipline to say to a handsome man, no. No, thank you. In the Renaissance, it was standard practice for women who fell pregnant. Women who fell pregnant. No. You got pregnant because you did the deed. You don't fall pregnant. You're not... I hate this phrase. I've seen feminists use it, and I have to make sure not to use it myself. It's like you're just walking all of a sudden like a bird poops on your shoulder. Oh, this poop just fell out of the sky. How did this happen? I mean, it's totally out of my control. It is in your control. This. Yep. When you lay on your back, meh, you consented. You took the Russian roulette. When you let him finish inside of you. You. This wicked woman. to write their wills. So when you got pregnant, you wrote your will. You know what? I said the same to when I was pregnant. I told my husband, you never know what's gonna happen in a C-section. You just never know what's gonna happen. Okay. I had a news story that I had watched previously. A woman who got a botched C-section in Los Angeles, and she died within 24 hours because she had too much internal bleeding. They didn't do something right, and she died, leaving behind a beautiful family. And her husband was distraught, and he sued the Los Angeles hospital. I shared that story over a year ago on my community tab. Look it up. And I have a book where I keep all my passwords, everything like that, and emails and logins, all that good stuff. I told my husband, like, this is, if anything happens to me, here you go. You'll be able to control my social medias, my blog, whatever, and this is what I want, right? So that's what I did. You may call that dramatic. I call that being responsible. Okay? And it's a brave thing when you're about to give birth, when you're pregnant, that you are risking your life for the man's bloodline to continue. You are honoring him with the child, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing you. And if you and your baby return to Allah, then you have exited this realm and gone to a different abode. And that's it for you. But that doesn't justify abortion. And you don't need birth control. Until very recently, in the scope of human history, sex was a hazardous prospect if you were a straight woman. It still is. It still is. Like I said, a man can be charismatic. He can be your hookup buddy 5 times. Maybe on the 6th time, he decides, you know what? I kind of want to use drugs with this woman and, do BDSM, and then something goes wrong. And he goes totally wacko. A predator, a demonic predatory man or woman, sets you up in a process. Some come off strong. Some men, they just grab you right off the street, pull you into their car. Some lure you to a hotel and lock you in. There's lots of traps that are set, but the smartest, scariest predators are the ones who gain your trust first. Oh, I'll take you out to eat. I'll buy you this dress. Bought you this perfume. Once they get you in there, and then you're gonna see this just change in their face. They know what's up. Yeah, why do you think they take you on a yacht in the middle of the ocean? Ain't nowhere to go. There's no escape. And sign this NDAA. What is that called? Non-disclosure agreement? Don't even mess with it. All intimacy is dangerous. I mean, especially you think about for other orientations, it's still always going to be dangerous. Diseases, monkeypox, all of it. It's always there. Violence is always there. Death is always over it. It's just the way it is. No matter what. She talks about sex is hazardous for straight women. Look up the domestic violence rate with lesbians. Come on. You can see her sophistry here. It could kill you or ruin you, and the fact that you probably wanted it made it that much worse. When your body wants something that could mean disaster, that doesn't make the wanting go away. It just makes you that much more afraid of your own desires. You should be afraid of your own desires. You have to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Something that we learned growing up. And this wench obviously didn't learn that. Drug addicts are afraid of their own desire for drugs, but they want it even more and they submit to it. And it leads them to worse and worse situations. People with gambling addictions. Intimacy has to be reined in. You can ruin your family. Okay? You can, like women and men who have cheated on each other, a psychopathic person will break and they'll get hurt. Or a father, you disgraced his daughter, she has a bad reputation, things happen, the brothers want to take you out now, they set you up. There are so many crime stories, so many examples. Don't risk it. Do not listen to her. Be afraid of your own desires. Be afraid, check your emotions, regulate yourself. Okay, don't practice poor impulse control. You feel an impulse come on. You know how many times I've wanted to punch someone in the face and have a brawl, but I can't. I have a family to provide for. I have a husband to tend to. I have to pray, have to do things. I don't want to go to jail. But I have a desire to physically teach that person a lesson, but I'm not able to, right? You have to be smart. Desire doesn't equal that you will be safe. Someone's like, you know what, I have a desire to be a cannibal. Then they go around a cannibalistic tribe. And then they're just like, yeah. And then suddenly they're like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And now you've, gotten yourself into a pickle, ain't you? You have to be careful. It's fascinating. This woman is genuinely not a good person. Sex was dangerous, and for many straight women, it still is. I love how she's pretending that, like, a really mean prison gay guy could never harm a feminine twink bottom. Just totally ignoring how gay men in prison hurt each other. Isn't that fascinating? How many men are R-worded in prisons? Brutally. And taken advantage of. It's just wild. Just wild. Without medical intervention, pregnancy is still a far riskier undertaking for humans than it is for most species. Yes, but the payoff is worth it. The payoff is worth it. Okay? It's a hard 2 years of pregnancy and recovery. Hard. Then comes the teenage rebellious phase. But that is our destiny. That is what we were given. That is what we're charged with. If you look at, because you know me, I'm always looking at nature stuff and whatnot. Even great white sharks' babies, they're plopped out and they're on their way. You have baby sperm whales, gray whales, different whales. They'll be in the ocean. Their baby is like very vulnerable to getting hit by a boat, by a ship. Great white sharks, they're swimming around looking for lunch, but an orca will eat the liver of a baby whale that took forever to make. It's brutal. Nature is brutal. Okay, so pregnancy for different species is hard, and then maintaining those babies, right? How those little baby sea turtles, their mom lays a nest, baby grows up, hatches, right? And then has to hurry to the ocean while seagulls and all these predators are eating them. It's wild. Like I've said before, Earth is a planet of suffering. You cannot escape that. It is what Allah has decreed. It's embedded. Humans will always find a way to hurt and harm one another, and plants, root systems overtake another. It's different vining plants can suffocate a tree and bring it down. Ivy, French broom is an invasive species. Plants that have invasive species take over the domestic plants. Why is it that weeds have to be taken out of a farming field? Because they soak up all the water and kill the plant, right? It's that's what it is. So watch out for her, because she's trying to denigrate pregnancy. You as a woman should rise to the occasion. That's why you need to not have casual intimacy. You pick a man, you honor him, and you risk your life for him, and you love him, and you cherish him. And if you perish, then you stand before your Maker, and you'll be rewarded for doing good. Paradise is worth everything. And I believe, if I remember the hadith that talks about if you die in childbirth, you're a martyr. If I recall, and a martyr, paradise. Think about that. Don't let these feminists scare you. Don't let them scare you. She's degrading pregnancy, saying, men in dresses are women, and saying women should engage in promiscuous behavior. She ain't your friend. She's not your friend. She doesn't want the best for you. The figures are just horrifying. Jonathan Wells, a researcher at University College London, told the BBC, "It's extremely rare for a mammalian mother to pay such a high price for offspring production." You filthy scumbag. Pay such a high price for offspring production. Don't you talk to me. Don't you see me as a woman as fauna. This is why you need to reject the atheist phrases of, we're all animals, our ancestors were just these hairy, stupid morons and we're so smart. No. Don't care what you say. Pay the high price, because that's the toll of life. When who would want this witch as a mom? What a nasty woman. It's good to tell girls the cost of it can be death. So make sure you're not sleeping with a loser. Make sure you're not sleeping with a bum, with an evil guy. Get married and be with someone who's worth that risk. You'll make better decisions. See, she thinks by telling you pregnancy is tough and dangerous that you shouldn't have children. You should just sleep around and be sterilized. Just be a fleshlight for men, right? Get cycled through, let them dump you, get all this trauma, all these bad experiences. And then when you hit 50 and you're chugging down alcohol, popping RXs, and you're just chain smoking like a train, it'll all be worth it because at least you didn't risk your life getting pregnant. You risk your life when you drive, when you fly, when you go outside. California's filled with crime. New York's filled with crime. Okay? Life itself is dangerous. But you have to go on anyways. Okay? Men risk their lives when they're doing tree cutting. Accidents can happen. You know how many men hurt themselves on construction sites? Think about it. Men risk their lives in war. You have to risk something as well. You can't always play it safe. Stupid idiot. I hate this woman. Now she's going on to talk about how the risks of pregnancy and stuff like that. She's just so sneaky. Such a sneaky woman. Such a sneaky woman. This is why, there really is occultists. It's these demonic energies and feminists. Because they're like, let go of pregnancy. Let go of marriage. Let go of modesty. Okay? Sleep with gay men. Just do all these things. Be really greedy with your sexuality. What's next? You're gonna tell you to do something with the horse? She wants to break all the taboos. She denigrates childhood, motherhood, heterosexuality, religion. It's like this woman was just spinning all these sick lies. And these young girls who don't have a mom figure, who don't have a religious Muslim figure, who has life experience to guide these women out of this trap, they fall for this. No wonder why, there's groups that are so afraid of Muslim women giving knowledge about Islam to younger women. It's just the Christians have let go. And Muslim women are so much stronger, but they don't really create, good social medias. You see a lot of heavily makeup women who are like the liberal Muslimas, don't really help much. But really God-fearing sisters, taking the time to just battle out these feminists is so important right now. It's really sad how some Muslim men can't see that, like, the need for women to correct women. Do you see what I'm saying? Hope I'm making sense. Like, it's fascinating. Muslim men, some of them, they'll argue with non-Muslim women, uncovered un-Muslim women. And the media frames this as misogynistic, hateful man attacks CEO, boss babe, progressive icon. But when you change the man out and put a hijabi, niqabi, burqa woman there, who is solid in her faith, has many skills, against a woke-tardian, then you see they can't push the same narrative. They can't spin it. They can't create this propaganda, right? It's fascinating how some men do underestimate the necessity of women needing female role models and seeing women combat evil live, right? Because in America and so many countries, they don't have access to wise Muslim women. They only have through the internet. It's the digital age. Therefore, I'd argue there has to be some type of strong, potent movement where sophisticated, educated, real mothers who have wisdom are confronting the ideas, the agendas, and the philosophies of the occultic and radical atheist movements that seek to subvert religious children. Right? It's very important. So important. That's why the Ummah is so weak, in a way right now. Muslims are being attacked from all angles in so many countries. And so those who live in the West have a duty to use their economic stability to gain knowledge and to push that forward, I'd argue. Let me know what you think. Man. Ugh. May Allah protect our daughters. But spending more and more time in these rad fam circles, you just see there's a high level madam in their community for sure. Something's going on. Something. If you'd like to join my blog and support the channel, it's www.subscribestore.com/Milahan Archive. Hope to see you there.